What's up, y'all? This is Osiris back at you once again, and today I have another independent game called Sylph, Project Miyaji. Sylph is developed by a small indie squad called 8 Virtues, and while doing some background checking for the game, I had to know what the word Sylph meant. Turns out a Sylph is a mythological spirit of the air, which is a cool double meaning for this game. Once I launched the game, I instantly had deja vu, but couldn't really figure out what this game reminded me of. After chatting it up with the developer, he pointed me to the game called Sylph, and I instantly remembered my Sega CD days as a young pimp. From a performance and technical standpoint, Sylph played without one hiccup. The game ran at a consistent 60 frames per second without any issues and very consistently. You might be thinking, considering the graphics, 60 FPS should be a no-brainer, but I've seen simple games screw this up over and over again, so I'm gonna drop credit where credit is due. Gameplay is your standard space shooter affair that has you flying around in a limited 3D space. By this, I mean you have the ability to control your spaceship, but the game keeps you progressing on rails. Sylph provides you with obviously forward, backward, left, and right movements, but also throws in limited up and down movements. As for controller support, I first started playing with my keyboard, which worked out well enough, then decided to plug in my Xbox 360 controller for reasons, and quickly realized that this is definitely a game that is better suited for controllers. Controller support pretty much worked out the box without any problems. According to the developer, there's also a DualShock controller support for you PlayStation fanboys. You get a new weapon every 25,000 points, which, like old school shooters of this type, gives you different arrangements of weapons on your left and right side of the player's ship. For those more sticky moments, or if you just want to blow things up faster, you get a limited supply of rockets at your disposal. I was unable to get past level 4, maybe because the game was cheating, or maybe because I'm terrible. I found the music to be interesting enough to drive the game and you while you played, but not overbearing so that it's distracting. This music really had that 8-bit feel without being 8-bit music. Now for the cons and complaints, which I really don't have too much of. If you're a vet to old school method of trying to perfect a level in the beginning so that you have enough life near the end to actually beat that level, then you would appreciate the ability to easily reset a level at your last save point if things go real wrong real quick. At this alpha state, that feature isn't currently in place, but I would most definitely like to see this put in a later version. Another complaint or a con, I don't know if it's a con or not, I would say would be that I feel like I would like to be the texture of the ship to be a little bit more detailed. Not that it actually really matters to the gameplay, but I can see some potential here. I enjoy seeing indie devs like 8 Virtues produce that good old feeling that major development houses can't or won't do. Something like this will never be for everybody, but will always be for somebody, and that's what's important. If you think this game is interesting and you'd like to follow its development, check out 8 Virtues on Twitter, at 8 Virtues. Down in the description, I'll leave the link that will allow you to install and play Sylph. They also had a Kickstarter that was successfully funded at 143% of its goal to pay for the box art. As always, you can find me doing absolutely nothing on Twitter, at Osiris, or get your very boring and standard updates via Facebook, facebook.com/Osiris Tech. If you like Linux gaming, then follow a pimp. This is Osiris, and I'm out.